listening to The Starting Zone, a podcast about World of Warcraft and the people who play it. And now, here are your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to The Starting Zone, the podcast about World of Warcraft and people who play it. Today is August 15th, 2023, and my name is Spencer Downey. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing to the podcast. I'm joined today, as always, by my co-host Jason Lucas. Jason, how are you doing this fine Wednesday? Tuesday? Tuesday. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like the strangest thing. I'm so used to saying Wednesdays now.
I know, we're doing a lot of Wednesdays, but
Tuesday.
We're in the Tuesday mode. I'm doing well. I can't believe we're already halfway through August. Summer is just almost over already. So that's something. I'm not looking forward to the school year routine and everything starting back up around my house. And although, fall usually does mean video game stuff to do, and there will certainly be a lot in WoW, but I'm doing well. We are in a weird kind of a holding pattern right now with the live game, and we have some news to talk about, but it's kind of a slow news week, and also we have extended maintenance today, so we haven't actually checked in on the reset quite yet as we record this, so that's just kind of where we're at. Just there is some cool stuff happening in the game this week, some limited time stuff going on, but just another week here in the kind of, I don't know, lame duck period of 10.1.5. 10.1.5 is still kind of a newish patch, but, it didn't have like a ton of stuff to really focus on. It added a bunch of stuff that you could do kind of quickly. And then they also announced the successor to it like a month before it came out in terms of release date. And so now we're just going, oh, but the patch will be out soon. Oh, wait, actually, it's still 4 weeks away. It's just weird how that kind of ended up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the time of year where we sort of start to get used to seeing stuff like this happen, though, because this is the lead up to BlizzCon. So the tail end of August tends to be the starting to wind down as they start really closing the doors on what's happening around the studio to get stuff ready for BlizzCon. I will also say that obviously we're going to most likely get PTR news very soon for 10.2. And so then there'll be a lot of, exciting stuff about what's happening in that and where it launches with that. And there'll be raid testing and there'll be all sorts of things happening around that content. So we're in a lull. That's, to be expected. And for the next 3 weeks, probably we'll be in a bit of a lull with some PTR news coming out here or there, but we'll get out of it. It's just a little slump.
Yeah. My expectation is that we'll have like parallel PTRs for a couple weeks with 10.1.7 and 10.2 being up on separate PTR realms, at the same time. It's just weird. I feel like they announced 10.1.7 like way too early, and it sort of takes some of the shine off of 10.1.5 and what there is still to do in it, or what people want to do with it. Because it's just once the new patch is dated, the current patch sort of falls off in terms of it's like a subtle thing. It's the way it feels. It just feels less relevant like right away. And I just don't understand why they announced the release date for Fury so early. It seems super early to me. So there's all kinds of cool stuff coming, and I think we'll probably get a lot of news about 10.2 very soon. But also the other big initiative right now coming out of the WoW office is Classic Hardcore starting up next Thursday. So there's a lot of communications about that, and they're doing a big push on that stuff. So I think once that stuff is out the door too, then it'll be different in terms of, looking ahead with live game stuff.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I don't know. It's that feeling of, yes, we're in a lull in live game, but there's so much coming down the pipe that it's just like, okay, we're just waiting for that next gumball to drop out of the machine and we'll be good to go, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it would feel different as a player if we hadn't been staring up at 10.1.7 release date for the last 2 weeks already, and we're still like 3-4 weeks out. So
right.
Yeah, just a weird spot. They almost never announce patch release dates that early, so I'm wondering what was the impetus there.
I think it's just pacing. I think they're just trying to keep the pacing up fast enough on the game for content release that people just stay engaged. Like, I think really Dragonflight has been how much engagement can we maintain in this expansion without having these big drop-offs that they normally see in between content coming out. So, it doesn't surprise me at all that we're seeing announcements like this, because I think they're striving for, hey, keep as many people involved in the game as long as possible if we can. It's just unfortunate that this isn't, the population base that Battle for Azeroth had, right? Like,
yeah, really.
BFA would have been the expansion to do that with, because you would have had this huge population base that was just all over the game. And unfortunately, we're coming out of Shadowlands, so people aren't appreciating Dragonflight as much as, they could have been.
Yeah, so. Getting the little story drops here, like every patch has some kind of story questing in it and stuff. That would have been, great in earlier iterations of the game as well. Yeah. I mean, I think the current patch is good, and I'm having fun with the content, certainly, but I do feel like they undercut it a bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, what did you get up to this past week in World of Warcraft?
Well, it was a bit of a lighter week, but we still did a lot of stuff. I ended up really trying to prioritize as much Mythic time as we could get last week for a variety of reasons. What we've been doing previous weeks is like Tuesday, full clear heroic, Wednesday, fresh Mythic, and then if we have signups, pick up Mythic on Sunday, and if not, then do like normal skip and then maybe call it an early night. And the Sunday signups just fall off so hard, and summertime doesn't help, and aging content doesn't help, and actually hard boss doesn't help, So the Sunday signups just really weren't there, and it's like, well, why don't we save heroic middle 6 bosses for Sunday? And so we'll make sure we get heroic Sark done and see if we can get anything cool. And then we'll spend the rest of Tuesday and Wednesday in Mythic if we have bodies. And then Sunday we'll do middle 6 heroic and call it a bit of an early night. And so that's what we did. And I think the schedule was pretty nice. The reclears were basically fine. I was missing some kind of heavy hitters last week, and I think I will be missing them this week as well. So that's sort of an ongoing struggle. I don't know if I'll even be able to field Mythic this week, but we'll see. And we got some time to look at experiments, and I think, we're getting some good learning on it. The overlaps where you have 2 bosses out at once get really out of control on that fight, and it's a little hectic. The problem that we're having, I think, the biggest problem that we're having is the lack of consistency. I'm not bringing the same 20 or even the same group of maybe like 22, 23 people to like learn this fight. I'm swapping a lot of people through the roster on a weekly basis, and it's one thing when you have easier Mythic bosses, but experiments is a difficulty ramp from the first 3 that are sort of easier than that. Obviously, you have the first boss and you have a choice, but I feel like without the consistency, it makes it really hard to refine a strat or to really figure out like, okay, how do we get over this hump that we're struggling with when the second boss comes out, or like when the third boss comes out, and how do you handle that overlap when it's like a third of the raid's first time seeing it? Every time you do it, you just can't really get anywhere. So I don't know. I mean, I think I mentioned on the show a while ago that like, if we're done at 3 of 9, that I'm more than satisfied with that for the tier. But it's nice to have another boss to work on as the content ages. Just have something else to shoot for, something different to try.
Yeah. Well, anything that freshens up the experience for the rest of the raiders, right? Because that's what keeps people coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it cuts both ways, because for some people it's like, yeah, I want to try that next thing, or like I just want to do something different, and I don't care if we wipe all night as long as it's we're trying to accomplish some new thing, and that's cool. But then there's also some people who are like, I have no interest in doing raiding that is this hard. I am not confident in my abilities. I don't want to try to do this. Like I'm not going to log on, and we've always kind of had that split, So that's. And I'm in kind of a weird spot with the wider guild in Zeros to Heroes, because like I don't want to ask the other teams or the wider guild for help to fill, let's say, 2 seats for an ID that's already 3 bosses deep, right? And we're just going to die for, I don't know, the duration of the evening. And by the same token, I don't want to ask for 5 or 6 spots for Mythic either. Not at this point. Maybe, as we go forward and into future tiers, then maybe it'll be different. But at this point, with everything kind of being established for this tier, it just doesn't seem like the correct thing to do. Also, I want to make sure that what my group is doing and wants to do is preserved, and that my people have their spots, and that we're doing our thing. And I don't want to be like, sign up for Sunday, or else I'm bringing 8 people that none of you know who signed up through the wider guild, and we're doing Mythic whether anybody likes it or not. Like, that is not the reason why we did this move in the first place. So I haven't been like leveraging that in that way.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? Because you can end up in a situation where you could put a post out on Saturday saying, hey, Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to be doing this thing. It's going to be Mythic content. it's progression. So, you're going to get a character saved. Just be aware of that. We might not kill anything. We're still learning. But if you have an altered, an appropriately geared main character you want to bring along and, help us out, that'd be great. Feel free to sign up. But you're then, in a sense, kind of promising those people who sign up an opportunity. And yeah, you don't want to end up in a situation where you're then bumping your own team, that when they show up for other people, or do you end up with 30 people and you can only bring 20? What do you do kind of situation? Do you bring the best composition? Do you bring the people who are more consistent with the team that like, do you bring the people who've already killed it a whole bunch of times from the main guild, who know exactly what they're going to do and how to do it? Like, that's the tricky part. So I get that. I get the hesitation there around putting out a broadcast to the wider community of Zeros to Heroes to try and fill in those spaces when you don't really know what it's going to look like on the day,
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's a bit of a shift for our team as well, because like I do not run a very tight ship, and I never have, and it's like, well, whatever, whoever's online will just go do the thing. But like trying to get people to like use a calendar to sign up for an event, and then actually like sign up to reflect whether or not they're going to attend, and then that action takes place. Like, that's a hurdle to get over right now from an organizational standpoint. You know what I mean? So just simple stuff like that. And it's like, well, I don't know, you didn't sign up, but then you showed up, but so I'll take you. But see, this is why my system doesn't work for like rounding out spots. And I feel like it's one thing if we have like 19 signups and I can grab a ringer from the wider guild who like knows the fight and is bringing a different character or whatever, then that's a different story versus like 16 signups, for maybe an ID that already exists or whatever. So, I'm trying to not kind of rock the boat too much with that stuff at this point in time, and just sort of run the team the way it's been that I've run it traditionally. And if that means cutting Sundays or having normal mode nights or whatever, and, not really slamming Mythic, after Heroic's done or whatever, then that's the way it is. We've never kind of had that situation anyway. So it's weird. It's like, it's nice to have the option, but it's hard to know how to exercise it right now. And I think it'll probably shape up a bit better once we're coming into a tier fresh and we can really assess like what's going on with our team and who's engaged and what they're looking to do. And also summertime's over and people can be around more consistently, in terms of the overall roster. And, I'm sure we'll get an influx of people looking for teams and stuff into ZTH as the new tier opens up, and then like figuring out, which teams are going to take those people on and everything like that. So, obviously this is a very transitional kind of process for us.
Yeah, you're going to find your place eventually in it all, and you're probably going to have some people who have alts for more progressed teams that are out there deciding to bring their characters along and help out every now and then, and they'll basically become your like almost like on-call guys is what I would assume it sort of looks like, right? Like that tended to be what happened when I was doing Death Jester stuff over there. Was we'd have 5 or 6 people who we'd consider friends of the team, and basically on a night where we were missing something, you could just lean on them, and if they were around, they just hop in and help out, and it was absolutely fine to do. So hopefully you end up with that like 5 or 6 people who are like, yeah, if I happen to be around, sure, I'll hop in. You can always DM me and that kind of thing. Yeah. That's the nice thing about a large community like that, is you typically find a bunch of people like that, so it's helpful that way.
Right. Yeah, and we always end up that like 3, 4, 5 people short, as right. It drags on. Yeah. But anyway, that was Raid, and that's sort of the mental gymnastics that I've been doing with that as we sort of find this new status quo. I did some keys last week. I think I did like 5. I didn't end up doing the full 8, but they were kind of a mixed bag. But I didn't think overall the week was too bad. We got a couple of 20s in time and got some teleports for people that are still looking to unlock some. So that always feels nice to do. I will say having like a Ret Paladin in the group makes a huge difference on Afflicted Week. So the ones I did with Ret Paladins seemed to feel really good. Or also Resto Shaman because of Poison Cleanse Totem. So there's we talked about comps last week for Mythic Plus, and I definitely felt like, and I also made a point to make sure like, hey guys, by the way, it's Afflicted Week, so if you have a way to like dispel this thing off of the ads, then please make sure you spec into it unless it's like completely build breaking. And because people don't think about it, and then you push the button, and now your timer started. So that helped a lot. My rating's like 2708. I think I picked up about 8 points of rating in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's just not really going anywhere, but I'm not trying to push above 20, so it really just won't. That's fine. I'm not really looking for anything else this season. I need a little bit of good vault luck, and that's just to get 6 item levels here or there. Nothing critical. Also, still doing Dawn of the Infinite on a weekly basis, although this was the 5th week, and so I now have all 5 sets of Infinite scales for the the dragon riding customization.
Nice.
So
Another thing crossed off the list. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I might be done with it at this point because I don't have a solid 5-player team that is doing Dawn of the Infinite on a weekly basis. We are nowhere near being able to do Undying hard mode. I mean, even this past week, I brought somebody I play with very regularly, but it was his first time ever doing the dungeon, 5 weeks in, because he hadn't had time to. So, the bosses in there are complex, and there's some really dangerous trash. So doing an Undying run is kind of daunting. Like, you're not just going to stroll in there and do it sight unseen. So, I don't have any expectations around that. I might be done doing it for now as a Mythic Zero. I don't know. If people still want to do it, I like the dungeon. I think it's fun, and I would certainly like to get a Gore Howl out of there. There's a nice 2-handed weapon that's like a remodeled high poly Gore Howl.
Nice.
That'd be really cool to have for the collection. And plus, you get the random Mog for doing the end boss and everything. It's a good source of crests and everything. So I'll run it this week if people want to, but I'm probably not going to be poking around, looking to put one together. Other than that, I didn't play a lot of other WoW this week. It was kind of a bit of a lighter week than the last few have been. I messed with my rogue a little bit. I got him up to 65, so I think I only got 1 level this week. I didn't really spend a lot of time on it, but I got all the big stuff checked off the list. I was kind of busy this week. I had a bunch of stuff going on, so I was pretty satisfied by the end of Sunday night, last raid night, last dungeon night. I was like, okay, well, all right, we got 9 heroic bosses, 3 mythic bosses. I got my 420s in for keystones. I got Dawn of the Infinite done. I mean, what else could I really expect?
You still had a full week of WoW.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the big stuff for me. Like I have been playing a bit more lately since this patch came in, but this past week was just way too hectic for me.
Yeah. I get that. But let's jump into what's going on this week, because I'm excited to talk about some of this, not just classic stuff, but some other stuff going on around the game. All right, so this week is the Burning Crusade Time Walking event, which means the Sign of the Twisting Nether buff is up, which means the reputation gains from Burning Crusade quests have been increased by 50%. And if you get any from combat, those are increased by 50% as well. Characters level 60 and above can access time-walking versions of Blood Furnace, Botanica, Magister's Terrace, Mana Tombs, Shattered Halls, and Underbog. Getting yourself some 389 eye-level gear. And that now has that 1 of 8 Adventurers track upgrade. So if you want to actually pick up some gear out of these dungeons and then upgrade it along to get up to, I think it's 411, then it's worthwhile hopping in and grabbing that stuff to do it. The vendor's selling off 372 eye-level gear as well. There's some nice transmogs in there if that's something you're interested in. And if you complete 5 of these, you get yourself a cache of normal Aberrus gear. So obviously nice little bonus there for people who have characters that are trying to catch up. Not to mention, as Jason will always highlight, which I think is important, experience gain from these is really good. It's a great way to level up a character if you're someone who's looking to get that last chunk of levels.
Yeah, it's kind of my preferred method, actually, for leveling. Not that I don't enjoy the Dragonflight leveling experience, but I think just having the consistent combat gameplay is a bit more... it's one thing to do the quest once or twice. When you get to the 3rd or 4th time, it's like, okay. And by the time you get even lower down the list of your roster, there's just nothing left. It's not really designed to be super repeatable content. So I might have to get my rogue in here this week and polish off those last few levels, even without any kind of XP bonus. The other thing I want to point out this week about Burning Crusade Time Walking is, I believe this was in the 10.1.5 patch notes, and we haven't seen a time walking event with an attached raid since. And again, we don't have servers, so I couldn't go check. But The disturbance detected time walking raid quests are supposed to reset and be available every time the raid returns instead of being a one-time completion. So you should be able to get a quest this week, even if you've done time walking Black Temple before, that awards a chest that contains hero upgrade level items and what they call a chance at bonus flavor rewards for max level characters. So I don't know what that entails, but when you have attendance drought in summertime and you're trying to run a Sunday night raid, I might end up doing. I might seriously suggest if we can get this quest, I might seriously suggest Black Temple time walking to the team for Sunday this week because we're already looking light on signups anyway. So I don't think we're going to be able to field Mythic, and this would be a fun change of pace. I mean, from what I remember, last time I did Black Temple time walking, it was very straightforward. It was not tuned to be any kind of real challenge, other than the logistical one of assembling a team to go do it. So yeah, I mean, I would assume, I don't know for sure, but the Black Temple raid stuff should be catalyzable considering the source of it. It may not be, but still, I mean, 415s, if you're in that kind of normal mode range, like that's not too bad. And the stuff is upgradable. It's just the same as normal Aberrant gear, except it's the stuff that dropped in Black Temple. And I don't know. I don't know about you, but a chance at bonus flavor rewards always sounds nice to me. So
yeah,
I would like some bonus flavor.
I want to know what pool that's pulling from, because if that could be mounts, that could be all sorts of stuff from back then that we have no idea. It could be entirely TBC themed as far as those rewards go. Maybe there's older stuff, like maybe there's mount stuff that was from world bosses, mount stuff that was from maybe Ashes of Alar could drop out of it. Like, you have no idea what could be inside that bag. So, yeah, sure. I think it'd be great to either find out what's in the bag or at least give it a shot to see if, we can get some reports from people. What happened? What was in there? That's a curious one. All right. And then, of course, the unlockable Wargraves of Azzinoth transmog. If you're someone who already has the Warglaves, you go in there, you kill Illidan, and then you can actually start using them as a transmog over top of your other glaives. So, pretty cool feature if that's something that you haven't done yet. Worthwhile getting around to. We also have the weekly world bosses for the week, Zakali Elders, as well as Liskanoth the Future Bane, the Ice Proto-Dragon in Thaldraszus. So obviously the Elders dropping 415 loot and Liskanoth dropping 395s. So if you want some more gear from those, be sure you're knocking those out. Be sure to pick up your all your weekly stuff, your Aiding the Accord and everything like that before you start getting out there and doing too much in the open world, because you'll get some benefits from that. Not sure what the PvP quests are for the week. Obviously, with servers still inside maintenance, extended maintenance today, we don't know necessarily what those are going to be, but check in with those too. Just be sure you pick them up if you're into the PvPs and you're doing something like that. Mythic Plus save fixes for the week are Tyrannical, Volcanic, and Sanguine, meaning boss enemies have 30% more health and them and their minions deal 15% increased damage. While in combat, enemies periodically cause gouts of flame to erupt beneath the feet of distant players, and when slain, non-boss enemies leave behind a lingering pool of ichor that heals their allies and damages players. Well, this is Watch Your Feet week, apparently. Basically, Volcanic is always going to try and target distant players, so if you have one ranged DPS and a ranged healer, or let's say you have a monk who counts as a melee DPS healer, and a hunter, that hunter will get all of the gouts of flame and just be dancing the entire time, which is perfect for a hunter. So just be aware of, if you're a ranged DPS, watching your feet this week. And if you're melee, you got to be helping your tank out with Sanguine Puddles. That means either stunning a mob that's about to die so that they can drag away all of the healthy ones, or it means knocking back enemies out of the puddles of Sanguine, or interrupting them so that they come running out of it and don't stand in it while they're casting and continue to heal up perpetually. All of those sorts of fun things are things that you're going to have to take care of as far as Sanguine goes. But I think this is actually probably a great Tyrannical week, because Volcanic's going to be fairly minor on bosses to deal with. It's usually one of the easier mechanics that overlaps with a Tyrannical week to avoid for players. The only time it kind of gets screwy is if you aren't paying attention, get knocked up into the air from a Volcanic, and then you aren't able to move into the thing you're supposed to move into, or if there's a really limited space that you can actually move through and a Volcanic ends up there. But typically they erupt fast enough, you still have time to react. It usually takes about a second, so it's not too bad. I think Tyrannical-wise, this is probably one of the best weeks you'll see, because Sanguine is just a non-factor on bosses. So, Jason, how are you feeling about this week?
Sanguine should be a non-factor on bosses. You can make it a factor if you
can.
insist.
If you really want to be spicy, bring some mobs into that boss room with you.
I don't recommend it, but you can do that if you want to. Overall, I think this is maybe the best tyrannical combo. I'm looking at the full list of combos for this season, and this one's definitely on the easy side. Tyrannical Entangling Bursting also kind of jumps out at me, so maybe this is like the second easiest combo. But Sanguine can be a pain in the ass, and it can be a real time sink if you have some bad luck with it.
Yeah.
Some of these dungeons have really tight corridors and a lot of trash that maybe you don't want to pull all of it at once. I mean, luckily, trash is not, buffed up this week, so you can pull a bit bigger. But, think of like Oldemon or something. Like, you have these really narrow corridors in some spots to be dropping that Sanguine.
I want to add that when Jason says bad luck, what he's specifically referring to is when your mage or whoever it is goes off on a giant crit streak and just kills a mob really quickly when you weren't expecting them to. That's the bad luck part. Otherwise, right. It's fairly controllable as far as where these things are going to happen, because you should be able to move them around as long as everyone is sort of doing their role properly. But yes, every now and then you get that thing where it's like, hey, I hit my cooldowns and everything died except that one mob that's really hard to kill, and now it's standing in a giant Sanguine puddle.
And we have no displacement tools or whatever. Or like we thought this thing was going to die, so we stunned it, and it didn't quite die in that window. And then it woke up from its stun and started doing its 5-second channel.
Everyone switched off the low health target to the new higher health target because no one wanted to waste that extra 10,000 damage of their fireball or whatever it was on that mob that only had 7,000 health left. Yeah,
it's just I always kind of describe Sanguine as a tank problem, and I would say that it primarily is because your job is to position things nicely and make sure that your group can succeed with fighting it. So that includes like slowly kiting stuff or whatever so that the Sanguine puddles drop safely. But I mean, obviously everybody needs to participate in it. You do want to sort of identify those mobs that are going to be more stationary, ranged attackers or casters or whatever, and maybe like try to focus them down while the tank pulls the melee attackers away. Displacement tools like, Ring of Peace or, anything that moves, any kind of knockbacks, I guess there's really not much other area denial other than Ring of Peace that we can, as players, can put in the field. But you do have like knockbacks or grips or, anything like that can really save you a lot of time. I mean, without Fortified, you are going to be kind of ripping through the trash, which is nice. And yeah, like Volcanic does factor in on boss fights, but for the most part, Volcanic is pretty straightforward. And if you get hit with it, there was a period of time where Volcanic was like a big damage nuke, and it doesn't really hurt that much anymore. It's just disruptive. I mean, you will also take falling damage if you don't have a way to displace yourself back to the ground, but it's not, it's not super punishing compared to the way it used to be. There can be some weird stuff maybe in like Underrot last boss. I think they changed it so the volcanics don't trigger off of the spores.
Oh yeah, no, they did.
I remember that from back in BFA. Because you'd have like 40 spores in the room by the end of the fight, and they could all be volcanic targets.
Yeah, no,
everybody was distant from them. So
I experienced that very well during BFA, where we'd have that happen. And the issue is you also had the mechanic where everyone had to group up inside of the circle to get their debuffs cleared.
Yep.
And so you'd be like, okay, let's group up inside the circle, and you watch like 50 freaking volcanics spawn onto your feet, and you're like, okay, we have to get out of the circle, get out of the circle. It was, that was funny. I don't think it does that anymore. But, I think there are fights where you have multiple targets, and each of those targets can be like a volcanic proccing target. So, but I mean, overall, it's very low impact compared to, some of the other affixes we see. Also, the other thing about this week that's a welcome departure from the last couple weeks is none of these require target switching. There's nothing to switch to. A volcanic isn't a thing you can interact with and DPS. Sanguine isn't a thing that you need to target and dispel or something. So I think that keeps everybody a bit more focused and able to execute, which is nice. Having to constantly switch to some kind of ghost mob that's spawning at some different interval, that gets a little bit old week in and week out. Imagine you could plug the volcanic hole with a rock. If you just, the volcanic thing appeared and there was a cog on it, and you had to click the cog and you like shoveled dirt into the volcanic so it went away. Yeah, so,
you get
give you something
rock,
to target.
You get the rocks from like the Assault of the Zakali fight that you throw over the edge to like knock off the dudes coming up the walls.
Right.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Just like throw it in the volcanic spawn point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think overall this is going to be a good week. It's just going to come down to two things. I think this week, your comp isn't going to matter too terribly much. Although if you can bring knockbacks, then do that. Obviously, boss execution. Boss execution always matters, especially this season. I feel like bosses are really hard, and Tyrannical, obviously, you have higher stakes because everything is going to last longer and everything's going to hit harder. And then just sanguine execution. You can't afford to, double your time on trash packs because of bad sanguine placement and still time dungeons this week. So as long as you can navigate those two things, I mean, yeah, I think overall this is one of the better Tyrannical weeks you're going to see. So if you're looking for rating to push up towards, 2,400 or whatever, or beyond, or trying to get, I don't think this is a bad week at all to get teleports or whatever you're trying to do. So looking forward to it. I'm hoping I can, I guess my hope is that my crew is actually going to be like online at various points this week so we can do so.
Yeah, it'd be handy to have people around if you're trying to accomplish things in World of Warcraft, because it is a massively multiplayer online game. All right, this week we also have the free t-shirt day going on. This is a great one for people who are still trying to get some points towards their journals, their adventure journal log stuff for the week. Not the week, for the month, because there's a whole bunch of them for like getting one shirt, getting all the shirts, getting rare shirts. There's a bunch of rewards for it, so be sure you're taking advantage of that. But this is going to run tomorrow, just the August 16th. It's just the one day only, and basically walking around the capital cities. So there's like someone selling shirts in Shatrath, someone selling shirts over in Stormheim and Valsdal. There's people who are doing it inside Stormwind and Orgrimmar, who are like launching t-shirts out of a cannon that you can run around and pick up. You get all these sorts of free transmogs, which is cool. Certainly something that's worth doing. There's also some that you can purchase off vendors for, a little bit of, I don't think it's purchased for coins. I think you just like purchase for nothing. You just walk up to the vendors and they have them for sale. And yeah.
Yeah, I think they have different prices in the vendors, but
yeah.
I think some of the vendors sell them like for cheap and some of them are expensive. But yeah, this event is actually awesome, except I don't think they've added anything to it since it came in back when.
No.
So I don't think there's any new shirts. I don't think there's anything new this year. So if you've done it before, you're pretty much done. But yeah, you can find a list of where all the vendors are, like in Wowhead comments and whatever, across all the various zones. And also, I think there's like upwards of 20 different shirts that the entertainers launch in the capital cities. So overall, I mean, there's an absurd amount of shirts you can get from free t-shirt day. And not all of them are free, but many of them are free. I think it's is it the Winter Spring one? There's like a goblin, the goblin vendor, you have to pay like 500 gold or something, but there's plenty of free ones too. And what happens with the entertainer is like they walk around in a circle in one of the squares in the city, and they just kind of like launch the t-shirt and like spawns an element for you to click on and loot the shirt. So
yeah, in true form, everyone's competing for them and running around trying to grab them as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's just like somebody actually doing that in real life. A t-shirt giveaway. So it's cool. It's a super fun event. I like it. I have no reason to really revisit it, I don't think, because I think I have all these, or
same.
Any ones that I'm missing I don't care enough about to like follow the entertainer around for any amount of time. But with the way the transmog rules work these days and everything, like you could just have your shirt and not any chest armor or anything over it or whatever. So you can, some of this stuff might open up some looks for you if you're really trying to do that. If you've never done it before, I definitely recommend checking it out because I think it's really fun, and it's only one day a year, and it's the only time you can get a bunch of this stuff. So even if you just hit all the vendors and go through, plus it'll give you a chance to see the new tech in EPL and Winter Spring for like the lighting and the draw distance and the fog and everything. So if you haven't been out there, it's a good excuse to go do that. But yeah, it's cool. We love free t-shirt day. I think it would be cool if they would add like a new vendor every year, right? Like put one new vendor in there somewhere in some zone that doesn't have one to go get some new shirt mug. That would be cool.
I'd be fine if they just did shirts with years on them, and then they just, that was the free shirt every year. Is you could have the collection of all the different numbers on the back or whatever it is, and make it a jersey or something with numbers on the back for each year.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I would like it if they just added, just give it a tiny little update each year. I mean, I'm sure that like what it takes to create a new shirt in World of Warcraft is probably not worth the actual equivalent hours to just throw a different thing in an event that already gives you like 40 different shirts. But I mean, again, I'm not a game developer. I'm an entitled gamer. I want a new shirt on free t-shirt day.
That's why I'd lean towards like if you just have to change one number on the back of it, it's probably not as extreme as designing an entirely new shirt. Yeah. So yeah, it's we'll see what they choose to do. Anyways, Kalimdor Cup's coming up. That's going to be, that starts today, actually, once everything goes live. That's probably why we're dealing with some extended maintenance today. And it's going to run until the 28th. And so basically you can head to Winterspring, Mount Hyjal, Fellwood, Ashenvale, Ashara, Durotar, Southern Barrens, Thousand Needles, Desolus, Feralis, Ungaro, Silithus, and Uldum. And there's like some of them where there's actually 2 courses inside one of the zones. And just basically compete in dragon riding, which is wicked. Like, it just is. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm really looking forward to getting in there and trying it out. It looks like you earn badges, and these badges let you buy more transmogs for your drakes to make your drakes look different. They have the Windborn Velocidrake getting teal scales. They have the Winding Slitherdrake getting a cursed nose horn. Or sorry, curved. It would be cool if it was cursed. And then also...
For all you warlocks out there, you get your cursed nose horn. Yeah.
That's right. And then the blonde hair is the other option for the Slitherdrake. There's also some transmog you can get, which are the pieces of the Drake Racer Dragon Riding Transmog set. There's 20 badges per piece, so it's 112 total badges that you need for that set. And of course, an achievement, because they need to put an achievement in for Kalimdor Racer. So yeah, if you haven't been looking forward to this hasn't really been on your radar, it's certainly something that you should be checking out over the next couple of weeks, because it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, to dragon ride in those zones. It's going to be wicked. They certainly put a lot of effort into making the zones look good from above to do it, and they had to figure out the routes for the courses and what made sense and what was fun. So I'm looking forward to doing it.
I mean, speaking of reasons to revisit the old world to see the updated tech, I mean, here you go. And yeah, I definitely want to do this because I want to collect all the stuff from it. And who knows if it's ever going to return. Like, I don't know if this is going to be like an annual thing. This might be a one-time thing only. They're giving us 2 weeks to do it, which should be plenty of time to get everything. I guess a small disclaimer, it does seem like they were messing with badge prices for stuff between PTR and live. So some of the stuff that we had may not be right, but you'll be able to figure it out, because there's a breadcrumb quest in Valdrakken over by the rostrum where you can customize your dragon riding mounts. And so that breadcrumb will get you started, and then I think there's like a tutorial you have to play through. And then, so you'll be off and running. You'll see the vendor and whatever the final prices ended up being. I guess you get like an increased number of badges based on how you rank, right? So as you get like bronze, silver, gold, you can, up your badge yield. So I think like the cap of how many badges you can get per character is like 150 or something, but you can do this on multiple characters, and of course these rewards are all account wide. So there is a full transmog set on offer that looks sort of like old-timey aviation gear, like leather kind of gear with like the goggles and everything,
right?
It kind of looks like that, so that's kind of a cool look. And plus it's in the set UI, and you know how I feel about completing things in the set UI. So that'll sort of be, I guess, probably first on my list. And then, I feel like 3 Drake Watcher manuscripts is not a lot for this, but I mean, whatever. Oh, whatever. I'll still try to grab them before it's all over. I don't care that much about the Kalimdor Racer title. Like, it's kind of cool, but I haven't really I'm not very good at dragon riding races, to be honest. Like, it's not, I don't know. I get some golds here and there, but it's not like I've gone through and tried to, gold everything. I don't do it on that level, but we'll see how these feel to do. Like, if it's, I want the badges because I want the cosmetics. So I will do this on my main, and however many alts are necessary to, make my way through the whole list of stuff on offer here. And then we'll do it again next patch for Eastern Kingdom. So
Yeah,
I think it's cool. It's a cool way to introduce it and kind of. I mean, I assume part of the intention here is like test out like in the live game environment, how does dragon riding work in Kalimdor?
Yeah, I see the more limited rewards as far as the transmogs go for your Drake, being primarily based on the fact that we're going to get an Eastern Kingdom one, and they sort of decided, okay, how many do we want overall? Okay, split it in half, throw 3 of them here, 3 of them there. Like that's what I assume happened, but we'll see. And maybe in the future they'll do more. And like you said, maybe it's a repeatable event. They'll bring back some rewards. They'll do rewards that are more relevant to the current dragon riding mounts we're riding around or whatever it is. If it's a year down the line or 2 years down the line when we see it again. It is an event I would love to have come back though, because I think it's a great way to get people out into the old world, into Azeroth, and exploring those zones and seeing those zones again. I love whenever they do stuff that encourages players to go back to that area and check it out. So.
Yeah, for sure. Who knows? I mean, we're extrapolating a bit here. Like, we know we're getting Kalimdor, we know we're getting Eastern Kingdoms, but how cool would it be if there was like an Outland one and a Wrath?
Dude, I want a Pandaria one. Pandaria is gorgeous. Yeah. Give me a Pandaria.
Like, just go all the way through them, right? Yeah. Like, if the eventual goal is like, okay, we want dragon riding tech to work in every outdoor World of Warcraft zone, then it kind of follows that maybe you would have like a dragon riding race cup for each continent, and then maybe different rewards from each one, and then maybe some kind of rotation. Like maybe it's a monthly or an every other month kind of thing where there's a dragon riding cup up and you can go do it and earn the badges to get various transmogs. Like I think that's a thing a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'll go do that. I'll do that. I'll check that out. I'll collect those because it's I don't know. Dragon riding is like, it's fun and it's low impact, and you can do the races like however you want. You don't need other people to do it. You can just do it by yourself and do it at your own pace or whatever. And if it's even if you're not trying to gold everything, you can still get rewards for it. So yeah, it would be great to see it just become sort of a part of like just a rotating part of the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see it come in as a more prominent feature in the game for sure. Okay, hot fixes for the week. I did want to highlight some Resto Druid ones because I think they're, kind of hilarious. Basically, you could cast Life Bloom while in Moonkin form as long as you had Undergrowth Talented, which I think is incredible. Talk about having a hybrid healer. You have one of the strongest healing hots in the game as something you can throw out as a Moonkin. So, yeah, they fixed that, apparently. So Moonkins aren't going to be able to cast Life Bloom
Sorry,
anymore.
Moonkins.
Yep. And they also fixed something where Rampant Growth was actually consuming multiple stacks of clear casting. That's also very bad because when they added in the ability to get clear casting, it was nice to be able to have 1 or 2 stacks, to have up to 2 stacks of it and be able to like have a couple of free spells. But when you cast one and they both go away, it's a pretty significant mana loss. So glad they resolved that issue. Jason, I thought you might enjoy the Grimrail Depot and Nitrog Thunder Tower, where they fixed an issue where Blackrock Mortar was doing excessive damage.
Mm-hmm. Now, does this mean to players, or were players doing excessive damage to Nitrog with the Blackrock Mortar?
That's what I was curious
about. Or both, maybe
yeah.
both. I mean, because I don't think there is such a thing as us doing excessive damage to bosses. But yeah, I mean, I guess luckily, like Grimrail is something that most players are only going to encounter in time walking at the moment. So I don't know if something was busted with that and like you were just dying because of bad luck with Blackrock Mortar or a simple mistake, it was just wiping players out, then that's no good. I mean, I get why if it was going the other way around and it was like, well, Blackrock Mortar's just blowing up the boss like in a hit or a couple hits, like okay, they need the game to function the way it's designed, and I understand that, but there is no such thing as us doing excessive damage to them. That is what we're here to do.
Yeah, the other one I wanted to highlight here that revolved around Mythic Plus was they fixed an issue where priests in Spirit of Redemption form, when a Mythic Plus dungeon was completed, would not be eligible to trade their keystone, even if they met all the other eligibility requirements. So it's like, I'm sorry, priest, you were cheating death. That's unacceptable. You cheated. You don't get to trade your keystone. Fixed it. Don't worry. You're good now. Yes. Okay. Last but not least, I guess we'll, for notes like this, for like hotfix stuff, we'll do some PTR. Over in PTR, they now have the new face markings and body tattoos for Night Elves in there for people who are like keen on checking out what they can do with their Night Elf characters with the new stuff going on. So be sure you're checking that out. They also have the Greater Draconic File Cauldron is now lasting 5 minutes as opposed to 3 minutes. So people have a bit more time if they had stepped away to use the bathroom between pulls or whatever it is to get their file out of the cauldron. And the ping system. There are now 2 new modes to activating the ping wheel, removing the need to click to drag on the mouse to actually select pings. So you can press and release the hotkey. It will trigger a mouse position, trigger at your mouse position. So you're actually able to press and hold on, whatever key you bound it to, and the ping will drop where your mouse is on your screen. So it's just that much easier to do as opposed to dealing with a spinny wheel, which a lot of people like. So, definitely a keen way to do that. And then also press and hold the key will trigger the radio wheel at the position of your mouse. So your, hotkey is then pressed when you release. So basically you can have it so you hold down a key, the wheel pops up, you move your mouse over whatever one you want, and when you release the key, it just picks whatever one your mouse was currently highlighted over. So that's the other way to do it. So it's a nice little, new addition there. And also ping chat lines are now available for text-to-speech for people who want to be able to have another auditory warning or need an auditory warning of some sort. They also updated the ready check prompt art. So it's they're working their way through. They did all the roles. They did a bunch of other updates to these sorts of frame arts. So now they're doing the ready check. And the mini-map tracking for Tuskar tackle boxes can now be toggled with Find Fish. So you do not have your map covered in tackle boxes during that.
Great change. When I unlocked Tuskar tackle boxes, I was like, oh, cool, more treasures. And then I opened one and I went, oh, no, my mini-map has now been cursed.
Yes.
Yeah, I almost never open these things unless I'm already stopping for something else. So I'm glad they changed that. I mean, you can kind of see the level that we're at here with the PTR notes. I mean, the hotfixes were super brief this past week for the live game. The PTR build we got, we knew we were getting some new customizations for Night Elves. I think it was in the previous the announcement blog or something and just hadn't shown up on PTR yet, or maybe it was data mined but not pushed out to the PTR build. But yeah, some new tattoo options for Night Elves, which is cool. But some pretty minor changes here. Changing the cauldron's a great idea. It should be 5 minutes is better than 3 minutes, but this is not a consequential change to the game. I like the additional mode for the ping system. It seems like having multiple different ways to get people to be able to ping something will make people use it more and maybe more responsibly and more accurately. So that's good. But yeah, overall, this is kind of the level that we're at with PTR. We're not seeing very much content tuning in the live game, and I don't know. I don't really feel like the season is that hard overall, but it is getting long in the tooth, and it would be nice if they would just start dropping some stuff. Maybe we'll see that in 10.1.7 or something, or as we get a little bit closer to it. There's going to be catch-up gear and stuff in 10.1.7, which is sort of a soft nerf, but there's also nothing like the Annulet, right? The Annulet was a huge deal when that came in 10.0.7. That basically soft nerfed everything in the game by a substantial amount for players that were utilizing it. So we don't really have anything like that as far as we know in this patch, and I don't think including some catch-up gear, even if you can get it up pretty high, is going to do that. So I don't know. It just is what it is. Obviously, excuse me. This patch is basically ready to go. There's not going to be some huge surprise feature drop, right? That all the features they got stuff like the Dream Surges and everything, the new content in pretty early. There's some stuff that they're going to hold back probably in terms of in-game cutscenes and stuff. So we won't see that till it comes out anyway. So it just sort of is what it is. Little tweaks here and there. They're not doing any massive class reworks. And the last round of that they did with augmentation coming in and the other specs that got updated, all that stuff has gotten substantially nerfed in the intervening weeks. So it just kind of is what it is. It feels like the game is holding its breath, waiting for the 10.2 announcement.
Right. Well, it's not like that with Classic though. Classic is ready. They are in their hype train. They are getting set up to kick off. We got the sort of what expectations you should have from the gameplay. We got a bit of a blog, the Adventures in Classic, what's playing, sort of blog that came out. And they highlight some key things about what's going to be happening in these hardcore realms that are going to be going up. Items added to early dungeons late in the original release of World of Warcraft will be available in their final state in classic hardcore realms. So if you were like, hey, this thing got nerfed or buffed along the way, which version are we getting? You're getting the final version of those items. They're also going to put in dungeon set quests, the moment you actually hit the requirements to be able to do them. So you can earn sets like Death Mist Raiment or Soul Forged Armor. The moment that you're, actually eligible to pick up those quests, you can pick them up and go start earning them. Although they do caution that these are very, very dangerous, things for people who aren't prepared for trying to actually earn these. So you might dig your character into some trouble, and on a hardcore realm, that could mean something really bad. So keep that in mind as well. The gates
all the content is going to be there, right? Like this is like, what was the last vanilla patch, 1.12 or something? Like everything is there up to Nax.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you should log in and go into Nax on your hardcore character. Like that is not what that means. It's just there's not going to be a phased content rollout like we saw with original classic launch, Season of Mastery, etc. It's all there. You can start earning progress towards some of this stuff as you get to the thresholds, but it's hardcore, and if you die, you are done on this realm. So keep that in mind when assessing the risk reward of any situation.
Exactly. Yeah. They also have the gates of Encourage open from the start, so it won't be possible for anyone to become like a hardcore Scarab Lord, which I think would have been kind of cool.
That would have been actually really cool, but I don't know how you would. I get why they didn't do that, but
I do too.
Maybe that'll be a season.
Maybe, who knows? Certain areas in the world that were unguarded will have the presence of guards, such as Light's Hope's Chapel in Eastern Kingdom. You have to be aware of enemy settlements and absolutely no funny business around guards. They have no qualms about bringing an abrupt end to your hardcore character's adventures if you end up hostile to them. So yeah, don't screw around with the opposite faction's guards. They will not be kind to you. And I have died many a time just rolling past the wrong settlement a little bit too close and got chased down. I can imagine hardcore would be very sad to have that net thrown over you and you get trapped, and then some level 60 or guards come walking up and beat on you. That's not something you're looking forward to, so don't do that. As far as dungeons go, there's a 24-hour lockout on hardcore dungeons. Sorry, yeah, on the dungeons in hardcore mode. This is to encourage you to face dangers of the open world, where the main part of the hardcore journey takes place. Yeah, as opposed to people just like, hey, I'm just going to sit in dungeons for this entire time and have a very sort of scripted experience, knowing exactly where everything's going to be. They want you to get out there
and have like potentially a dedicated group of players around me who are all working together on this thing that we know is exactly here. Like we're just going to run dead mines and then clear it out and reset it and do it again. And like, no, that's not what they want. They want you out in the world and, let's face it, griefing each other. That's that's part of the experience, right? It's like other people are trying to do the same extremely dangerous thing you're doing, and they have the same stakes as you. So be careful out there.
Yeah, exactly. They also Dire Maul and any associated quests will be available from the start. So loot drop sources from dungeon bosses will follow the latest iteration of WoW Classic era realms. For example, the Hand of Justice trinket will drop from the Emperor Thorazane, not from General Angerforge. And then they went, here's a complete list of items that were moved and where they got moved to and what this all looks like. So they actually put out like an actual spreadsheet for folks who are like, okay, which item, which classic phase 5 did it drop from, which hardcore source is it now from, for people who are trying to like track down Magister's boots or the Belt of Valor or like the Black Veil Cape, like some of these more crucial items that people want. They shifted position throughout the expansions, throughout the patches of Classic, so just keep that in mind as well. And yeah, Jason mentioned that like Molten Core all the way through to Naxxramas is going to be open right off the bat. The attunement process for each one is still unchanged, so you still have to get attuned to everything. But boss encounter mechanics will be the same as they are in current Classic realms. No new boss mechanics from the Season of Mastery are going to carry over, so you're not going to see any of those. And the world bosses like Kazak and Azaragos are, also going to be up in there. So if you happen to wander into a world boss realm, just be aware of that. Be careful where you're walking. That could certainly get you pretty easily too. And then just remember that just because you can zone into a raid, it doesn't mean that you should. We recommend grouping only with trusted guildmates and exercising extreme amounts of caution in raids. You've been warned. This was me warning last week, going, I cannot picture doing a hardcore raid. This sounds terrifying to do, to level and gear a character entirely and then get them into a raid instance and, you have a Leroy Jenkins kind of situation and you're wiped and there goes everyone's characters, Like, oh.
Like, on some level, I can understand the appeal, but I cannot imagine me, myself, as a person and a WoW player having fun with that situation. But
Right.
I thought this was a really nice post because it lays out a lot of expectations, it just kind of explains how the game's going to work and where, certain items can be found, like just putting the item table in with the sources where you can find them in hardcore classic realms was nice. And then it occurred to me, there are a lot of disclaimers in this post, and something I guess I didn't consider before about official support for hardcore is angry customers.
Oh, angry customers.
Right?
Yeah.
Who just I died because I accidentally shot the guard and then the guard killed me. So can you just resurrect my character? And it's well, no, you can't accidentally shoot the guard. And if the guard killed you, then you're dead. So that's how the game works, right? Up until now, it's been this sort of niche play style that a player is opting into on a personal level, but has nothing to do with the game client itself, right? It doesn't have anything to do with the actual game experience. It's the way the player is approaching it. And so that player knows, they're not going to, if they really want to continue to play the character, then they're just going to resurrect, right? Or whatever. They know what the story is, and okay, they posted on however they're tracking it or whatever, and there you go. There was a character. But this is a whole different world for that. And Blizzard needs to have messaging and support in place for it. And I'm sure they're going to get tickets from people please resurrect my character. I died, but it wasn't my fault. That's how hardcore works. Sorry. I think there will be some people just kind of wandering into it going, oh, let me check this out. And okay, yeah, when you die, no spirit healers, no resurrections. Okay. But that's not going to register for some people until it actually happens, or it happens in a way that they feel is less than fair, right?
Yeah. The cool part about all of this, right, is for the players who actually do get in their hardcore raid, you will once again have that feeling of standing around Ironforge with someone wearing Naxxramas tier 3 gear and going, look at how incredible that person. This is amazing. How did they went in there and did an undying run, basically, to get the stuff that they got.
Right. They have to, yeah.
Oh my God. That to me is, there is going to be those moments where it really resonates for players, and I think that's really cool. It's going to be a really exciting aspect to it. And for those who, get super attached to their characters and feel they aren't really ready to let go yet, there's another option. Facing mortality, what lies beyond death in Classic Hardcore was another blog post that came out this past week. And what they basically get at in this post is, hey, you know what? If you got attached to your character and you died on Hardcore mode, you can take advantage of the free character transfer to a non-Hardcore Classic Era realm. And so your character can then continue on in the non-Hardcore if that's something you want to do, which I think is the best decision that they could make around something like this. I think having only hardcore is dangerous, as you said, for people who get very upset when they get really attached to something and something goes wrong. At least this way, all your character and their gear and all the enjoyment that you had can just go over to a normal classic realm. Yes, you're out of the hardcore race. Yes, it isn't a hardcore experience for you, but you are able to, at least keep your character and do something with it and feel like your time wasn't entirely wasted or whatever it was, if you felt if that's how you were feeling. So I like this change. I think it's a nice little add to it. It is going to be interesting to see how many people take advantage of this and how many people are no, I'm in hardcore for hardcore, and so I don't want to do this, character move. But I mean, if I was someone who had rated on a character on hardcore for 2 months, was pretty I leveled it, I rated on it, we were doing really well, everything was going good, and then we had a night where server performance was really bad, and you died to something unexpected, it might be nice to go, you know what, I want to hang on to this. I'm going to take him I'm going to transfer him over to the non-hardcore realm, and he can just be like a trophy piece for me that I can go and visit every now and then and do something on. Or you have guilds that have a hardcore guild, and then they're, non-hardcore guild that you then go and join because of this feature. So I like it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many people take advantage of it.
I think this is great. Actually, this is a really nice addition to the whole process, and it makes sense. I'm not really surprised. I'm glad that they had the foresight to like have this in place for the launch and to communicate about it before the launch, because I feel like there's been eras where Team 2 would just not have such foresight and stuff would just go out, and it would be like, well, okay, I have this dead character now, but I put like time into it and I liked playing it, and maybe I was playing it with some friends and all their hardcore characters died too, but we want to continue progressing our characters along whatever we were doing. Like, how come they're just stuck? And, then it would be, oh, well, in a future patch, we'll figure out a way to, let you transfer out. And
then there's an issue, and you can't actually get the older characters. It's the characters that were created after a certain date, and then people get really upset.
Yeah, it's like retro. It's not retro to, but I don't know. We have sort of seen that, kind of philosophy in the past where it's like, how did you not think of this? But this is cool, because if you just want to go check it out, there's really not, the stakes are kind of low, right? If you're just trying to, if you just want to see what it's all about and give it a look, then you can still pick up the character and all your progress, your gold, whatever items you have, and just like pop over to whatever classic era server you want to play on. And, that could be like a whole thing, I guess, right? You have a group of people who are going to form a guild and do stuff inside of classic hardcore, and then sort of like a chutes and ladders thing where then you die and then you fall down the chute and you end up, okay, we end up back on this other server, and then we like reform here as people die. Hardcore realm, like, why not? Well, I mean, I think it's cool.
You wipe on a raid boss, the entire raid team is now no longer, right? You just, okay, well, now we'll just raid on, the non-hardcore realm, like.
Yeah, like it's cool. I like that aspect of the whole ecosystem, and I still have not bitten the bullet and made my classic era rogue that I've wanted to start playing for reasons I can't totally explain, other than I sort of I just miss the old World of Warcraft lately, just the world itself, and I kind of want to go hang out in it. I'm starting to think maybe I will make a hardcore character, because then when she inevitably dies, we'll just go back over to Pagel and like nothing happened. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that just because, just to try something different and have a bit of a different stake to it. I'm not trying to play endgame anyway, so level 60 would be the end of the whole journey as it was.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I like the way that they're doing this. I think that
I'll tell you that Night Elves with Shadow Meld will be certainly a very high priority for players who are choosing to do this hardcore stuff.
The problem with vanilla Shadow Meld is that it's not as good as it has been for many years. You can't use it to drop combat, but it does. It certainly comes in handy. But if you could have like retail Shadow Meld in vanilla, it would be default, I think, for a lot of situations. I don't know. We got a kind of an eyebrow raising tease on Twitter this past week from, I think it was Mike Ibarra, about BlizzCon and about Chris Metzen having something that WoW fans would be very interested in. And I feel like a bunch of this stuff means, portends things for the future of what Classic is. And that's pretty exciting to me. I think hardcore might just be another step in that direction, and we might be seeing more stuff once that's kind of out the door. So it's cool. I mean, Classic was a hot button topic for a long time before it became official, and then before it came out. And I have not spent much time in those realms over the few years that it's been out, but I always kind of wanted to see vanilla come in as a museum piece, right? Just a way to go revisit that era.
Right.
And have it always be there for players. And we have that now, and it's awesome that it's there. And so then I think it's sort of naturally be like, well, what else can we do? And so we can do stuff like Season of Mastery. We can do stuff like, Hardcore Classic. But can we do some kind of remix with the same content and maybe newer tech and maybe newer sort of game design philosophies. And would that be fun? And maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't be, but I think they have that. They obviously have the willingness and the ability to do these kinds of experiments now.
Yeah. I think the experimentation they're able to do with these realms is exciting. It's interesting. I'm going to be curious to see where it all goes after BlizzCon announcements. 'Cause I think you're right. I think we'll probably get something large announced around Classic, which could be kind of neat. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But with that, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons. They contribute a ton to our show and help us to improve on the content we create. Today I'm giving a special shout out to Alianos, Arajian, Butter, Celian, Kapawi, Max, Shorel, and Vespin. Thank you so much for all that you give. And thank you so much to all of our patrons who give and donate towards the show. We have some new ones this week. We got Colby K and we got James joining us on the Patreon. Thank you so much for hopping in and supporting the show. We appreciate it. It goes towards paying for all the production costs and everything else around the show. So it just keeps us running regularly. So thank you to all of our patrons and welcome Colby and James. And thank you so much. If you're looking to hop into our Patreon and support the show, you can find it at patreon.com/thestartingzone. And thank you so much.
Absolutely. Welcome aboard, new patrons. Glad to have you. Thank you so much for supporting the show. And thank you to everybody, past and present, who supported us over the years. It means a lot, and it helps us, get you a show at least every week and, help keep the archives online and help the show be as good as it can be. So thanks a lot. We really appreciate all the support, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you.
Yeah. If you want to support the show another way, you can do that through going onto your iTunes, your Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. They really help out our show, and we read them here live from our listeners. We actually got 4 or 5, which is excellent. Thank you so much. We're going to space them out a bit since we tend to go through droughts of 5 stars. But, if you want to get in, we are getting close to that big old episode 600, and there will be some reviews on that. So if you want to be on big old episode 600 as far as reviews go, then by all means, get some more reviews sent into us. We're climbing up those charts with these reviews. They mean a lot to us and really support the show. This one comes in from Jaced out of Australia, entitled Top WoW Podcast. Says, great source for WoW news and discussion. Look forward to every episode each week. Well, thank you so much. We have quite the Australian fan base, and I'm so glad that you enjoy the show. We love hearing from our international listeners. Jason and I are also technically international, I guess, so it's an international show just to begin with. It's
true.
It's certainly something that we look forward to every week as far as doing the show together and doing the show for you all. And thank you very much for the reviews. Keep the reviews coming. They're going to help us grow as we get closer to BlizzCon, so it's going to be kind of exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for writing in. Great to hear from you. And always cool to hear from, the international audience. People all over the world download the show, which is still all these years later, kind of weird to think about as we sit here and just kind of chat. And it's awesome. It's so cool to hear from everybody. And Australia also, we also know the long history of the awesome, Aussie Blizz nerds. So we love to hear from you. And thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. That's going to wrap up episode 592 of The Starting Zone. If you want to check out show notes for this episode or leave us a comment on the show, you can head on over to thestartingzone.com, the official website for the Starting Zone podcast. If you want to contact the show and leave us your feedback or ask a question, you can email us at thestartingzone@gmail.com or reach out to us on Twitter or X at The Starting Zone, or you can join our Discord at thestartingzone.com/Discord. If you want to get your hands on some TSE gear, you can find that over at TeePublic. That's teepublic.com/stores/The Starting Zone. You can check out all the designs on shirts and mugs and stickers and that kind of stuff. And Jason, if folks are trying to track you down over the interwebs, where would they find you?
The best place to find me is over on Twitter. Put that in your browser, twitter.com/Shieldwald, because that's where you'll end up. And I'm still on Twitter. You can find me streaming when my ISP allows me to, over on twitch.tv/Shieldwald, and sometimes on youtube.com/Shieldwald. I've just been having such horrible problems with my internet service at the exact times when I'm trying to stream and play World of Warcraft. So it's been very frustrating. But normally streams are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays at 7:30. And the problem is if I can't push the button and have the shield slam happen on the screen, then I need to I need to turn the stream off and hope for
Right.
the best that I can actually play the game for a little while. So
Yeah.
very frustrating. I've been working on it diligently, but no clear results so far. But check out the video channels. Sunday I streamed for 4 straight hours with no problem. So
There you go.
you know, yeah, we did all kinds of stuff too. Raid, Dawn of the Infinite. We did Keystones. We did. I think we even did like Whelp Daycare and stuff. So yeah,
Nice.
come check it out.
Yeah, Whelp Daycare, another way to earn some points towards your journal this month, if that's something you're looking to do. There was like doing the weekly, doing the dailies. Each daily got you some points up to a certain amount. I think it was like 200 points, so certainly worth doing that as well. If you're trying to find me, you can find me over on Twitter or X at Spencer_Downey, or you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/SpencerHD, or over on YouTube at youtube.com/@SpencerHD. And with that, for myself and Jason, we want to say thanks for listening, and jobs done.